All right, hello parents, this is Miss Callahan. Today we started a new unit on waves and interactions, and we did two different investigations about our phenomena of waves. So one investigation we did was a video on the Tacoma Bridge collapse. The second investigation was on a wave tank. Your child made at least 3 observations, one at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end of the demonstration. And for homework, they need to come up with an explanation to why this observation happened. They need to make a connection between the wave tank experiment and the Tacoma Bridge video, or they can make a connection between the wave tank and something else that they know in their life or have observed. And then they need to come up with a question that links their connection, their explanation, and their observations together. These questions are not, why is the water blue or is water wet? These questions are based off of the information that they already have on waves and what they want to know more about waves. So in class, they had a tank or a container of water, and their first observation was to explain, their first observation was to write what they saw at the beginning of the experiment when I just dropped in 1 drop of food coloring. And so they made their observations about this. What it looks like, is it moving? Are there any shapes that are formed? Observations. The next thing they were asked to do was to decide what they think would happen to the food coloring if we blow across the top of the container. So we're going to blow across the top of the container and the wind is going to go in that direction. What do they think is going to happen to the food coloring in the container? The food coloring that's on top of the water and the food coloring that has sank to the bottom of the container. So after they made their hypothesis of what they thought was going to happen, then one student blows across the container. And they write their observation about what happened to the food coloring that was on top of the container compared to the food coloring that was under the water. How are those different? What happened to the food coloring? Did it move? What direction did it move in? Did it not move? We're making observations. Then I dropped a secondary color into the container. And this time I had them tap the side of the container to create waves, and they needed to discuss what happened to the food coloring in the container when you tap the side. Once the waves stop, what happens to the food coloring? What is the position of the food coloring in the container? Is the food coloring moving with the wave? Is the food coloring not moving with the wave? What is happening here? So this is what we did in class. We made the observations. Now they need to take those observations and they need to form an explanation. Why do you think these things are happening? That's your explanation or your hypothesis. They cannot use it. They also need to use some vocabulary words if they know them. Then they're going to make a connection between the wave tank and the Tacoma Bridge, or between the wave tank and something that they've observed in their real world. And then they're going to come up with at least 2 questions that link their connection, their explanation, their observation together. We're going to use these questions to form our future demonstrations and labs. These questions are going to guide their learning throughout the unit. Based on these questions is what we're going to learn. What do they want to know? Those are the questions that we're going to answer. So this is due in class tomorrow. This assignment is worth 10 points. They have to receive an 8 out of 10 in order to receive mastery on this assignment. And it is the first grade to go into the grade book for the second 9 weeks. If you have any questions, you can message me on Remind or through Google Classroom. Have a fabulous day.